So today I have Coach Becs here, and we're going to be talking about training through your menstrual cycle and a unique way to look at training through your cycle. So, rather than just kind of breaking it into the different phases, the follicular, the luteal, ovulation, menstruation, Bex is going to give us a unique look at, how we can approach it. So Bex, just give it a bit of an overview of how we're going to do that.
Yep, so we're gonna, this is a way to use your menstrual cycle to help periodize your training, okay? So we're gonna break it down into 3 phases, very, very simply. But just to make it clear, this is our guide that we've kind of put together based on the evidence, based on our experience with clients, personal experience as well, just as a different way to kind of look at how you can kind of train through the cycle. So 3 phases, very simply. We've got phase 1, which is going to be our menstruation phase, our maintenance phase. Phase 2 is going to be our test phase. So this is our follicular phase. And then phase 3, we're going to look at our recovery phase. So this is going to be the luteal phase.
Fantastic. Yeah. So as Beck said there, this is very much a kind of our experience. This is what we would call like a roadmap. It's not a rule, but we do encourage you to be tracking, because there's a lot of interplay and a lot of kind of overlap, isn't there, between the kind of phases, and some are long, some women's are longer, some are shorter. So breaking it into these like test phase, and the recovery phase and maintenance, it's just going to allow you to align your training towards that. So start with the test phase, Bex, like what types of things, let's start with the test phase. What types of things do people need to be focusing on?
If we go maintenance first, because then take it right from kind of day 1 when you're going to have your period.
Let's go.
So menstruation, we're looking at maintenance phase. Okay, so this can last anywhere between 3 and 7 days. As we've said, we're all very unique, and so this is going to be dependent from person to person. This actually can be quite different month to month as well. That's why we thought maintenance, just look at kind of maintaining your training, like see how you're feeling. Some people actually might find day 1 of their period fine, absolutely can train normally, can train as you normally would. Others might actually just want to curl up in a ball and not feel, so great. So kind of base it on how you're feeling, which is why I think maintenance is quite a good way to look at it. So see how you're feeling month on month. Train as you can, give it kind of what you've got.
Good. So that maintenance though, approaching training. So say if I'm going into a CrossFit class or or a spin or a HIIT, what types of things can I be doing around this kind of maintenance phase? Like, is there specific ways I can approach my sessions? Because I don't want to just not do anything. Like what types of things can I do practically to be able to help me in this phase?
So it might be better to focus on things like your skill work, your gymnastics. It might be better to keep the load lighter and kind of higher reps. I'd also say use this time to look at mobility and maybe just a little bit, if you like yoga, if you're into yoga, a little bit more yoga, just to keep your body moving as much as you can. But yeah, as we said, it's gonna depend person to person, but looking more at kind of lower load, higher reps, more skill work, gymnastics, that kind of thing.
Perfect. So then coming out of that, so we've maintained during this phase, like you said, we haven't just done nothing. Now, that's a really key thing, because even if you are experiencing some symptoms, actually doing some form of movement, like you said, but not putting the pressure on yourself to do too much, can actually really help. But as we come out of this maintenance phase, as we come out of menstruation, we're going into like the test phase. Like just talk to us about, what we should be kind of focusing on here.
So then going into our test phase, which would be your follicular phase. Now, this is normally like the best time of the month. This is when you should be feeling really good. You should be feeling really energized. So this is kind of why we said test phase. Test yourself, push harder, push a little bit harder in workouts. Try going for heavier lifts. Try for going for 3 rep maxes, 5 rep maxes. Really just test your body, because majority of the research shows that this is the kind of stage throughout the month that you are feeling like you have got a little bit more in the tank. So just use that, test yourself.
Definitely. So this is why we're talking about periodizing your training over the month, isn't it? Like, we cannot keep testing ourselves or pushing hard for 30 days a month, for 365 days a year. So we need to align our physiology and then, our training to our physiology. And this is the time, isn't it? This is the time to, like say,
Exactly.
push that a little bit harder and test yourself. So fantastic. If you're on the border about, should I be going RX, or should I be, I want to increase my, squat or my back deadlift or whatever it is, or you want to push harder on the cycling or the running, this is the time to kind of just be like, right, this next kind of like 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe in the little longer, this is the time to kind of push. Perfect. So like we talked about periodizing, over the month, a common thing that we see is just people trying to go hard the whole time. And this is why we think this unique approach of having these different phases. So once you've kind of pushed hard, so that might have been even like, you're looking at what, maybe 8, maybe 10, maybe even 12, 13 sessions in that 2 weeks. Again, we need this time to allow our body to recover, regenerate, repair, and grow. So this is when we can potentially use this, what you've called as the recovery phase, to allow that. So, again, we don't want to just kind of completely take our foot off the gas. So how can we approach this kind of this phase?
So yeah, this will be the luteal phase. So this is kind of where you start to see PMS symptoms coming in if you do experience them. So recovery. So we're not saying stop training completely at all, because that's gonna have a bad, negative effect on what you've just been doing in the gym. But use this time to kind of let the body adapt, let the body recover, maybe do a little bit more like lower intensity sessions, more of your cardio, maybe like going for a jog. Use this time to really focus on just getting out and going for walks, maybe like I said, jogs or swimming, cycling, that kind of thing. And again, just keep yourself moving. So looking at mobility, like keeping yourself just generally moving as much as you can. But it's kind of like what I said in the first part, in our maintenance. You might find that some months you are experiencing more symptoms than others. So you actually might find that you can train a little bit harder some months. That's why, it's just so important to try and understand your own body. And start tracking symptoms and actually seeing if you are affected throughout the month.
Yeah, fantastic. Because as you say, if you do this, you get 2 months, 3 months, 4 months under the belt, on your tracker, and you'll be able to see that you actually can maybe extend that test phase, maybe for an extra 3, 4, 5 days, because you feel you end up, your symptoms don't start to occur until maybe kind of like further down into the recovery phase, or into like I said, the luteal phase. So that allows you to potentially kind of like, push a little bit harder, and then, structure your training to fit your physiology, your body. But at the start, you might want to just kind of be thinking about approaching it, like Beck said, like just taking the foot off the gas a little bit, maybe scaling the weight on the bar, maybe taking a little bit more rest periods in between lifts. And this is something that we spoke about before in terms of don't be scared, isn't it? Don't be afraid to be kind of telling your coach or, telling your training partner, look, I'm feeling a little bit, sluggish here. I'm just going to, instead of resting for 1 minute, I'm going to rest for 2 minutes. Instead of, using 40 kilos, I'm going to use 25 kilos, and still get that stimulus, still get that kind of a, like you said, movement through the body, but you're not crushing your body. You're not working against your physiology and what's happening from a hormonal point of view. You're actually kind of helping this, because some movement and some training is going to be really beneficial. So that's a really, really kind of thing. And as Beck said, like, do some stuff that you do enjoy, isn't it? Like movement and general kind of things, because that's a really, really beneficial thing. And as you come back in to the maintenance phase, you've had this period over the 30 days of quite intense, where we really kind of go at it. Then we've had this time where we maybe just kind of like, work on a few different elements, but don't necessarily kind of push ourselves. And then we allow our body to recover. This is a proven principle of progressive overload, of allowing your body to deal with this constant stress, and then you can come back stronger. If you just keep trying to push the whole way through, and again, like maybe even just kind of, you know, mentally, you know, that word man up, kind of get through it. It doesn't, you know, you can't really do that, can you? So we really want to be like approaching it, like Beck said, maybe kind of split it into those three phases. And I guarantee month on month, that's when you're going to start to see that progression. It's really, really important to kind of, like Beck said there, to make sure that you're tracking your symptoms. Just to finish up there, Bex, you're currently you did your own tracking, didn't you? And
yeah,
quite good insight.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, you know, big take home is just try and start listening to your body. You might not think. So me personally, I didn't really think I was that affected until I created an Excel spreadsheet and then started actually just tracking how I felt in sessions, after sessions, how my recovery felt, emotionally how I felt, you know, how in terms of strength. And it's fascinating when you start to actually do that and seeing how throughout the month it changes. So I'd really just say trying to start listening to your body, making some notes. We're going to do another video all about kind of how to track and where to kind of start with this.
Definitely.
But also another big take home you just mentioned there, Liam, as well. But try, if you've got a coach or if you're doing classes, you know, make your coach aware, have regular conversations of where you are in your cycle. Make sure they are actually aware of your symptoms, how much you are affected, because they can then program around you, and actually you can get more out of your training doing that. And trust me, it massively helps.
Yeah, because the psychological element as well, going back onto, if you're trying to push a heavy weight and you don't, you know, you miss the lift, you feel, you know, really kind of beat up after the session, because this isn't the time that you should be pushing. This is the time that you should be maintaining. So I hope that kind of gives people a little bit of you know, almost a bigger picture, kind of look at the month. And this is why we're saying, like, periodize, pun intended, the 30 days of your cycle to, you know, to help you to train better. So I think this is a really amazing insight, Bex. Thank you so much for, you know, putting this together and kind of helping people out. As I said, we're going to be doing lots more videos kind of around tracking and, you know, nutritional strategies as well. So so make sure that you pop any comments in below, and we'll make sure to guide you in the right direction. Thanks, Bex.